Hi YouTube, this is Raven. I started this channel because I'm a survivor, not a victim, of a 16-year marriage to a covert narcissist, and now in a high conflict divorce from a covert narcissist. And I'm hoping that I can highlight some of the mistakes that I've made so that if you're going through a very high conflict divorce, you won't make the same mistakes that I've made. And one of the mistakes that I made was putting the children in counseling and not realizing that the narc would use that to his advantage. And what had happened is that my narcissist husband had tried to kill himself, supposedly. It was actually just a manipulation tactic, where he put a gun in his mouth and, tried to kill himself. He was in the mental hospital for a while and, got out. And when we were going through a divorce, we got to the point of child custody. And I would not sign joint custody over to him until he was seen by a psychiatrist and evaluated, because at the time I mistakenly believed that he was still suicidal. I didn't realize that it had been just a manipulation tactic. So I told him, you're going to have to go see a psychiatrist, and get evaluated so I know that you're not a danger to yourself and the children, and then I'll sign custody. Well, he agreed to it, but then several weeks went by and he didn't do it. And finally his lawyer told him, this is holding up the divorce. If you want to get to the financial part of the divorce, you're going to have to go see a psychiatrist so we can get child custody decided. So he made an appointment. He was going to go. And the night before he's supposed to go, I get this email that has urgent in the subject line and my daughter's name. And I'll read it to you. It has urgent, my daughter's name. I just got this from my best friend. Was just informed that your daughter told someone at the pool Saturday that her parents were divorced and she did not have any reason to live anymore. Sorry I did not hear about this sooner. With your agreement, I will schedule counseling for both children immediately, and if the times do not work so that you can take them, I will. I will let you know as soon as I have the appointment set up. Well, I knew he was trying to deflect attention from himself that he had to go see the psychiatrist, because, we're talking about a 9-year-old child. A 4th grader. And so I asked my daughter, and my daughter is a horrible liar, so you can tell when she's lying, when she's telling the truth. And, she kept telling me over and over again that she did not say this. And so, I believed her. So I went back and I emailed him, no, you do not have my permission to put them in counseling. I agree the children will need to speak to someone at some point in time about their father abandoning their family. She emphatically stated she did not say this. The only person suicidal around here is you, and you are the one who needs immediate counseling and therapy. If this is a ploy cooked up by you and your best friend to avoid having to see a psychiatrist to prove you are not suicidal, then I am questioning whether I should allow joint custody at all. Maybe I should be asking for full custody. So at this point, he emails his lawyer, and he carbon copies me on the email to his lawyer, but he had changed my name to Plaintiff instead of Raven, and he continued to do that for several months. Anytime I got an email from him, it was plaintiff. I bring a suicidal statement to the plaintiff's attention, and this is where it goes. So I emailed both of them back. And I said, you put a gun in your mouth and tried to blow your head off. If our daughter needs counseling, I will take care of it, as I have done all her needs since May 25th. Go to a psychiatrist and prove you're not suicidal. Do not contact me anymore by phone or text or email. Contact my lawyer from now on. I'm ending communication directly between us. Well, of course, that didn't end communication because, the narc's not going to go away. And what he did at this point was try to say that I was a horrible mother because I didn't care that one of my children was suicidal. My 9-year-old daughter. So this put me in panic mode that I had to go find a psychiatrist. And this made me start to doubt my own reality. And that's what narcissists do. It's called gaslighting. They make you doubt what is reality. And I was so worried that, maybe she was suicidal. Maybe I had missed something, that I wouldn't even let her take a bubble bath. I was scared, if I left her alone taking a bubble bath, she might try to kill herself, and sink below the water. So I called up who I thought was a psychiatrist, but I later found out that she was only using the name doctor because she had a PhD, and I don't even think it was in psychiatry. But she used the name doctor, and it was very misleading. So we take her to the psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist wanted to meet separately. So I went in the room first, and I told her, this is what's going on. I'm in a high-conflict divorce. My husband tried to kill himself. I don't know whether my daughter is really suicidal or this is just a ploy to keep him from going to the psychiatrist. Well, then she meets with, my narc husband, And he was in there for a long time. And whatever he said to her, when I went back in with my daughter, all three of us, her attitude towards me had changed. She was very hostile. She looked very, very negative at me. She looked like she was very suspicious of me. So I'm sure that he had spun the story to where he's the victim, because that's what he always does to everyone, that I'm the manipulative bitch that drove him to suicide. So we had the session, and then the next day she had us come back. And she said, "Your daughter is the most angry child that I've ever seen." And I asked her, "What do you mean by that?" She said, "Well, she mixed the colors on the Play-Doh." I'm like, "Oh, okay, yeah, yeah. I have dozens of Play-Doh cartons at home, and none of them have the same color. They're all mixed." Then she said, "And she erased my bee on that board." And she had like a little cartoon bee that my daughter had erased. And I asked my daughter, "Why'd you erase the doctor's bee?" And she said, "Well, Mom, the bee didn't look good. It was a bad drawing. I wanted to make it look better." And my daughter's an artist. I'm an artist. And she's a phenomenal artist at age 9. So I knew that, yes, she probably did want to draw her a new bee. So at this point, the narc decided he was going to take the children to see the counselor. And he made all the appointments when I could not go. And the counselor would not work with me. She would not schedule the appointments so that I could go too. And, this should have been a red flag that he had already convinced her of his story that I was a horrible parent. Especially when she called me in and she wanted me to come in for a parenting session. But what it was actually a beat up on me session, where she was telling me what a horrible parent I was, that I neglected the children because I was going to nursing school and working full time. And what I needed to do was to drop out of nursing school, not work full time, and just collect alimony. And I told her, he's not going to pay alimony, and if I don't work, the kids and I can't eat. And she continued to say, "Well, you've got to make a decision." Well, I left that session, crying because I'm emotionally vulnerable. And so I called her back and I said, "You know what? My kids aren't coming back to you anymore." Because for whatever had happened with my husband taking the kids to see her, he had convinced her of his story, and he was using therapy against me. I think he was building a case to use her at some point, to get full custody. So I found the kids a very good counselor at that point. She had been a school counselor for 30 years. She met with the kids for a couple times, and then she pulled me aside and she said, "Was the children's father manipulative or controlling, or do you know if he has a personality disorder?" And I said, "Yes." "Oh my God." I said, "But this is not about me. It's not about him. This is about helping the children through the divorce." And she said, "Yes, you're right. It is about helping them through the divorce." So she was able to help the kids, and they blossomed under her. And what I can say is that if you're going through a divorce with a covert narcissist or an abusive person, be very careful if you put your kids in therapy. Don't let the narc take them to therapy by themselves, because they're going to use therapy to their advantage. They may use it to try and take the children from you through the testimony from whatever this therapist is. Because not all therapists understand about narcissistic personality disorder, and they see most divorces that the parents are, fighting like this, but a lot of times in a divorce like this, you have one parent that's, the normal parent, and then you have the abuser. And they're going to use the system to abuse you, and they'll use a therapist to abuse you as well. So that's all for now. Be vigilant, be safe, take care.